Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Lewis Cooper. Today I'm going to be reviewing Judge Dredd, The Cursed Earth Uncensored, which I picked up a little while ago from the 2000 AD online shop. They had it on like a half price offer, and I wasn't sure what it was, to be quite honest, because I've read 2000 AD and Judge Dredd for quite a long time, but a few of the older stories I'm not too familiar with. But I thought it was a new printed version, and it's been out for about 5 years now, so it's fairly new. The promotional thing behind it is The Cursed Earth Uncensored, because there's a couple of stories in it. I'll go into detail about the story in that if you're not familiar with it. As you can see on the cover there, you've got some McDonald's iconography and logos, and the big thing was, in the story they used a few trademarks like McDonald's, Burger King and the Green Giant, the sweet corn, and that caused them a lot of problems, and the publisher was worried about lawsuits and stuff like that. So in all subsequent collections it was never reprinted until this edition, which is kind of cool really, because 2000 AD has always been like the kind of the outlaw kind of thing, and they've always broken the rules and that, so it's kind of cool they have this whole like edgy thing. And like I hadn't really read this story, and all I saw was the cover there, so I ordered it, and I didn't realise quite how old a story it was, because it's from 1978, so it's proper early days 2000 AD, and early Judge Dredd, quite formative kind of Judge Dredd as well. And yeah, the issue when I got was a little bit damaged there, and when I got it, it was bent right back in the packaging, which is absolutely unacceptable. So I immediately got in contact with the 2000 AD online shop, and whenever I've dealt with them, they've always been fantastic. So I think it's always like the same two guys that you deal with. I don't think it's a big department, but they said they'd sold out because they said it was on offer at the time, and they said they sent me another one whenever they can. So I thought that's fine, because I can just read this one, and then they sent me a brand new one. So I've got a nice brand new one that's not been read in the collection, and I've got this one which I read through, and I read through it all recently. Because it's all broken up into like the 5-6 page stories. I think they're all 6 pages that they are in 2000 AD. I read just one a day pretty much over the past 3 weeks or so, and I've really enjoyed it. I've worked it into my regular reading rotation, and like I say, I didn't realise how old it was when I first looked at the art. Not that I mind the older stories, but they always seem to have, like, sometimes 2000 AD in the magazine like reprints some like a little collection of the older stories, and you kind of go, these aren't quite going to be what you'd read later on, sort of the 80s and 90s sort of thing, or modern day stuff, but they're enjoyable in their own way. But I was really amazed by how much I enjoyed this, and I thought I'd enjoy it, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So looking at the inside cover, you've got the big Judge Dredd logo there and the title, and it gives you the names of the people who worked on it. So it's Pat Mills, the 2000 AD founder, John Wagner, who's one of the Judge Dredd creators with Carlos Esquerra, and Chris Lauder, who I believe wrote it under the pseudonym Jack Adrian. Apparently he's used a few pseudonyms. And the artists are Mick McMahon and Brian Bolland, which, if you know anything about 2000 AD history and those artists, you don't get much better than that. I remember when I first started reading 2000 AD in probably the early 2000s. I think I started when I was a teenager, and I think I first saw Mick McMahon on ABC Warriors, and I didn't like his art. I don't know, I can't remember why, but I didn't like it. And then I don't know what happened, but a bit later on it just clicked with me, and I absolutely love his art now. And Brian Bolland I mainly know because he does a lot of cover work these days, and like he did the Killing Joke, like the Batman story. But I mean, they share art duties, and the aforementioned writers share the writing duties. But it has a little intro explaining the whole thing about how the certain issues got banned and stuff like that. But there's been a recent change in parody laws where these it's not a problem anymore. They basically explain that they were struggling with weekly story ideas for Judge Dredd, and they just came up with this long-running saga, because I think it's like over 25 issues of 2000 AD, which is half a year basically, for a single story, which could have lots of smaller stories told inside. So the basic setup is that there's it's quite timely as well, there's a virus in Mega City 2 which makes people go crazy, and the whole city's being destroyed, so they need to get a shipment of vaccines from Mega City 1 to Mega City 2. And I can't remember the exact story reason, but the only way they can get it there is with this big like Land Raider vehicle, and Judge Dredd and a few other judges and a outlaw biker who they get out of the cubes called Spikes Harvey Rotten, who they get because of his amazing bike skills, which seems a bit weird, but it does give more of an interesting dynamic to it, kind of thing. But yeah, they have to transport it across the Cursed Earth which is a long way. It's all the way across America, and the Cursed Earth is just a hellhole basically, full of all these odd and colourful characters which we see along the way. So that's the overall story. Then it just kind of breaks it down into individual stories as it goes. Each one kind of starts with, as they were originally printed, they start with kind of a big double page of like the colour art and that, which is really cool. They're always nice to see. And then the main stories are kind of black and white there as well. And it's interesting, it varies depending on the artist, whether it's McMahon or Bolland, kind of what you're getting, which is quite cool. I quite like the difference between the two. But and the old school colour bits are quite nice to see as well. Like one of my favourite stories, like I say, they're all kind of individual stories told in a few parts each, but there's one where it's about this kind of like robotic vampire kind of thing, and it's kind of like a kind of old school sort of vampire Dracula-esque story, but with like this cool looking sort of robot vampire that has like syringe sort of teeth. It's really cool idea. But yeah, and there's a reason behind like the robot needing people's blood and stuff like that, but I won't go into it. I'll say spoilers, it came out in 1978, but you know, it's but yeah, there's some really cool looking stuff like that. That's a bit of a spoiler, but you know, it's fine. But yeah, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. They introduce a few other characters. There's a little alien chap called Tweak, who I really like, that's a good picture of him there. He's great. His species eats rocks, but he has very dangerous like claw hands that he can crush a man's head with, and he has more to him. He kind of acts not as smart as he is, kind of thing, but he's an interesting character. But again, we're going to into it in case you want to read it. But here's a shot of one of the banned issues. It's got the McDonald's Marauders there against the Burger King. Don't know what the Burger King ones are called, but yeah, it's kind of the two different towns that have sworn allegiance to each fast food chain. But yeah, they meet every kind of character and monster you could possibly meet, including another one that was an issue was the Jolly Green Giant, who's kind of this scientist who is using these old icons of like businesses and stuff like that. Like they have like the Colonel Sanders from KFC, and there was another chap, and the Michelin Man as well. So these are another ones that whenever they've been reprinted, they haven't been like included, kind of thing. But there is even included in the back here. There's a retraction short that they included of Dredd and Harvey Rotten, his sidekick, just enjoying the Jolly Green Giant, the real one. This is like the real one, who's a nice guy. He's not a monster. And then they're just eating the sweet corn and that, and saying how delicious it is, which is quite funny in itself. But in the back, it's got the cover art as well, which is really nice, reprinted in sort of full colour. There's a few there, kind of thing. So it's funny to look at it and see that it used to cost 9p. Like I can't imagine buying anything for 9p now, let alone a full size comic. But yeah, some more pretty cool bits there. But yeah, it has a few other little bits in the back there. There's a better shot of the Green Giant kind of thing. And apparently there was a Cursed Earth board game that came with it, which I imagine was a thing you just kind of collected in installments or something. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Yeah, there's a better shot of Tweak by Brian Bolland. I imagine that is quite a recent one. And then there's the cover art for this issue by Mick McMahon, which again is more recent and full coloured kind of thing. There's a few little extra posters and sketches and stuff in the back there, which is really nice. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this, much more than I thought I would. And I thought I'd like it, but you know, I liked it a lot more. I found it a really enjoyable read, a really interesting piece of not just Judge Dredd history, but really early Judge Dredd history, which is really fascinating to see. This is kind of, you know, it's before he really becomes a fully formed character. He's just like a no-nonsense lawman in this, but he's not quite the full Judge Dredd yet, but you know, it's still there, the pieces of it. But yeah, I'd really recommend picking it up if you're a Judge Dredd fan and you want to learn more about his history and that sort of thing, then absolutely. But yeah, let me know what you think if you read it, or let me know if there's any others you want me to review. But yeah, thank you very much, thanks for watching.